What's up, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today we're going to learn how to do the new UBRS for Warlords of Draenor. Now, as you guys can see, I'm sitting back in my chair. That's because this is going to be a long-ass fucking video. Like, this is like 40 minutes long or something like that. And so sit back and put on your learning hats, because we're going to learn today. Alright? I've been wanting to do this video. I wanted to do this video yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to. And today was America Day. It's 4th of July, celebrate the 2014 birthday of America. And so I really had a good time today. And I just came home a little bit ago, and it's already sunlight outside. But I figured before I go to bed, I'm going to do this video. So as soon as you get in here, there are these sentry cannons, alright? These sentry cannons are very interesting because you can click on them and they have like a little wrench on them, and that means that you can actually activate them to be on your side. As you can see, it went on my side for a second and then it turned against me again. And the reason for that, I think, is probably because it's bugged, because it's not like it's going to do that. There'd be no reason to click it if it wasn't supposed to do that. And so whenever you're going to go in here, if you're doing this and they're still broken, you pretty much just want to activate or just kill them, because they won't activate or aggro any of the other mobs because they're yellow mobs, and I don't think that they're social aggro. And anyway, so for these three guys, the most important thing here is this rallying banner. And as you can see, there's like this red line that's growing. And if that red line reaches any other mobs that haven't been aggroed, it will aggro them. And also, this guy here, the lock loader or something like that, what he's going to do is he's going to activate the sentry cannons to attack you. And so that's why you want to kill them beforehand. This first room here is honestly pretty easy. It's not really that big of a deal. Like, we even had a few fuck-ups in here where we pulled extra mobs and, you know, a bunch of other stuff because we didn't kill the banners. And really, honestly, like, I think the most difficult part of this instance was kind of, or at least the first part of it, was really kind of figuring out positioning, because it's very, there's very weird camera angles in here and all kinds of other stuff. It's like right now, it's very hard to target these rallying banners. Because you can't see their nameplate, and it's also they're very difficult to click on because they are the same color as the background. And I think it'll be right here or another place where we actually aggro a second group of mobs. And everything is tuned up to be level 100, but I think that Blizzard has said that this dungeon has been over-tuned. And so if you go in here, it's actually pretty hard. Like, I think it was harder than... in my opinion, it's harder than doing challenge modes now, and or at least challenge modes with like good gear. And as you can see, that rallying banner just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the bigger you let it get, the more things it'll aggro, and obviously it'll just aggro more and more things. Now, in terms of the specific mobs, what was it, the lead belcher or something like that? The ranged mob just pretty much shoots at you. And these wolves do a targeted cone attack, where it's like a swiping attack, the same as the third boss in what's it called, Gate of the Setting Sun. And that's, yeah, as you can see there's like the swiping thing, and it will continuously hit you for damage. And so if you're a tank, I'm very glad I did this as tank spec, because this is a very tank-intensive dungeon. There's a lot of things that tanks need to watch out for and pay attention to, especially on the last boss. And we'll get there in about a half an hour. And so, anyway, when we get there, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But basically, there's a lot of things where tanks need to position mobs to where they don't do their cone attacks towards the raid and, you know, all the other stuff. There's also things called summoners, and if you guys have done the original UBRS, you'll be familiar with these. They function the exact same. They just summon more ads. It's not really that big of a deal. You just need to kill them. And of course, it's the same thing again as the old UBRS, where in this first room here, you have to kill all of the mobs that are in here, and then this gate will open, and you'll know whenever that happens, because a new part of the I guess dungeon will appear. And this also functions the same way as the old UBRS, where I'm going to pull one of these mobs. Actually, this other guy pulled those mobs. I have no idea why he did that. And so you pull all of these mobs, and they're all going to aggro to you. They're very weak. These mobs really don't do anything. I didn't even have a chance to tell what they really did at all, honestly. And so we're going to go up to the first boss here. It's like Ore Master Gorth, something like that. I honestly don't even I can't even pronounce his name here, but basically he has all these lightning things channeling to him. And in order to start the encounter, you have to deactivate all the lightning things that are channeling to him. And by deactivating them, I mean just clicking on them. It's the same thing as everything else. And as you guys can see here, there are some of the different abilities that he does. And the main two abilities that you really need to watch out for is the Shrapnel Nova. And that means that basically he's going to cast that. And whenever he casts that, that's going to work the same way as I guess like Zul'jin, I think, worked in the old ZG. Is basically a casted spell, and everything around him he deals damage to. It's very easy to avoid, especially as ranged. My entire group decided to stack up here, and I don't really know why. It was a very bad idea, but as you guys can see, it's still very easily heal-throughable. And also, there's going to be those spikes, as you can see to the left. Those are the lodestone spikes. And I'll explain this first. At some points in the fight, he'll recharge a conduit, and then he'll start casting something. It's the bottom spell there, the Thunder Castrimony or something like that. And basically, that's just an AoE ability. That's the same. That pretty much works the same as the first boss in Halls of Origination, where as soon as he starts channeling in the middle, and you can't stop that channel until you deactivate the pillars that he's channeling to. And this works the same way, and he'll continue casting this over and over and over. And the problem with that is that it does huge AoE damage to the entire raid, and so you want to be able to be ready to deactivate those as soon as possible. Have your ranged and your melee just complete your raid, just run over there and deactivate them. And as I said before, those little like spikes that are coming out of the ground, those like push you away. It just kind of makes it harder to get to the crystals, and it also does a little bit of damage to you also. And let's see, what else is there? Oh, well, whenever he channels to these little spikes things, or not the spikes, the lightning conduits, he does reduce his damage taken, and so it's not a good idea at all to not click on the conduits. It's not like, oh, we're just going to burn them down, because you lose so much damage. Every single conduit he channels to, you lose 15% damage or 14% damage, and so this boss was extremely easy to do. I've done this in 2 different groups. I've never wiped on it. It's very easy. It's really not even a problem at all. The only thing is you want to make sure that you're ranged or not standing in the Shrapnel Nova range base, as I was like telling them there. And as soon as you get into this next room, there's going to be pretty much 2 or 3 different types of mobs here. There's like this monstrosity, the Draconoid monstrosity. And what I want you guys to think about when you go into this room is think Maloriak. This monstrosity channels a Fire Nova, same as Maloriak channels in Phase 2 of his encounter. And it's a targeted cone or line attack. It's the same as Cinderfall also casts. Many mobs in the game cast this attack. And so this is another thing for tanks to watch out for. And again, face the mobs away from the raid. As you guys can see, I don't know why our DPS warrior was attacking from the front. I don't know. But either way, these mobs are very easy to deal with, but they are kind of like, I guess you could say, like the stereotypical hard-hitting melee mobs. And the alchemists don't really do a whole lot, and neither do the engineers. Nothing that I would really say matters, except for the debilitating gaze. I think it's the way you pronounce it. And basically all that does is it's just a channel onto you, and it makes you do less damage, and it slows you. Humans can trinket out of it with their every man for himself, and you can also interrupt it. And the boss casts this as well, and so you want to also, basically be ready to interrupt it. It's on about a 15-second cooldown, so you only really need 1 melee who can interrupt it. As you can see there, I have the thing channeling onto me, and as soon as I interrupt it, it goes away. And so it's not really that big of a deal. As you can see, there it is. Movement speed and damage. And so it's not the biggest deal, but especially on these packs. And but on the boss, it is really kind of an issue. Now, this next boss, I don't even really understand how to pronounce his name either. Kyrak, I guess. What we opted to do here was focus down the monstrosities. And the monstrosities, they also need to be faced away from your raid because they do a cleave, and they're also going to do this eruption thing, as you guys can see. And so I'm going to be moving in and out of that. The top ability there, the Salvo of Toxic Fumes, or Salve, that's heroic only. I don't know why I put that in there. I didn't mean to put that in there. The main thing that you really want to watch out for here is the Rejuvenating Serum. Again, this boss is very much like Maloriak, even looks like Maloriak. And the Rejuvenating Serum, he casts a spell, and he casts it on himself, and he can also cast it on the monstrosities, and it will heal him for 5% every 3 seconds, I think, and it lasts for 30 seconds. So it needs to be dispelled. It's a magic effect, and so I had the glyph on my shield bash or shield slam. Shield slam, and I was able to interrupt that and stop that from casting. As you can see, there's the buff on him now, and I just took that off with my shield slam. Whenever he reaches 50%, he'll start spewing out poison, and that's also a very easy thing to do. The way that works is that he basically spawns a puddle under every single player in the raid, and you just need to move out of it over time. And so you're going to want to be moving him around the room, and it happens at 50%. See, that just happened now. And he's also casting that debilitating the spell. What is that called? Debilitating like gaze or something like that. Either way, it doesn't really matter what it's called. It's a cast that he's going to cast on his main target. There it is right there, and you just need to interrupt it. It's very easy to do, and again, it's on a 15-second cooldown, and so one person should be able to get all of the interrupts if they're a melee with a 15-second cooldown interrupt. Other than that, this boss is very easy. I did die on this boss whenever I was doing this as DPS. It's very important to have a tank that knows what to do and is able to move him around the room and not just keep him in one place. There's also Leroy Jenkins dead on the ground next to him, next to his like little alchemy lab. I did forget to mention that, but it's a pretty cool little Easter egg in there. Now these guys function the exact same basically as the Draconoid monstrosities, and they have a cone slam shockwave basically, and you just need to move out of it. The frenzy is an enrage effect, so it can be dispelled, and they do a lot of damage. As you can see here, the shockwave doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, but it does stun you, and so it can be an issue. This room here, I decided to pull them down here, and the reason for that is that they do a knockback ability, and it's a casted knockback ability, and I'll show you guys whenever that's about to happen. And so I didn't want to have us aggro extra mobs, but we ended up aggroing extra mobs anyway. But I think I cut that out actually. But anyway, these mobs are very easy to kill. It's not like they're very strong at all. They don't really do a whole lot of damage, honestly. There is a knockback there, and they also do a Sunder Armor debuff, and I think they do one other thing, but it's pretty irrelevant. And it's basically you just want to watch out for the knockback, and especially if you're the tank, so you don't get knocked back into other mobs, which is what happened to us. Other than that, there's no real need to CC here, honestly. Like, as you can see, I'm taking like 10,000 damage at a time, and so I don't think there's the shield smash. Yeah, that is the knockback, and so we were able to prevent that from happening. The siege breakers, those are the ogres. They're padding around, and so you kind of don't want to aggro those because they can kind of chain aggro other packs at the same time, and that would really kind of be, you'd be having a bad day if that's happening. But anyways, you can see here. I think this is probably the safest way of pulling this room, I guess you could say. Fighting everything at the same time, we kind of did that on accident. As you can see there, I almost got knocked back because I got double knockback. And oh, that's the other thing. I did forget to mention this. He does fear you, and with this intimidating shouting here, what's different about this than other fears is that as soon as they cast it, and if they get it on their primary aggro target, they will actually stop attacking your tank, and they'll run and attack your other, like your casters or whatever. And so we pretty much cleared all the way up to where Drekthar was, and there's a summoner here again. And the summoners, they cast the summon veteran ability that they have. They cast that pretty often. There it is. And so you really want to be on top of them with the stuns and the interrupts. They're very easy to deal with, and so, but make sure that you don't waste your interrupts on their shadow bolts or anything else like that. They're very easy to do. I put that marker down there, and the reason for that is that's where I want everybody to stand whenever we were doing the waves for the next boss. And what is his name? Is the Commander? What is his name? I don't even remember his name. Commander something. And he's not really that hard to fight, but there's a lot of different things that are going on in that fight. This is an extremely annoying gauntlet, I guess you could say. You have to fight 3 waves of these ads here, and they're pretty much the same ads that you've been dealing with throughout the entire instance, except for you have these little tiny bats, basically, or like baby chimeras, and they are extremely annoying because they're hard to get aggro on because they're hard to target. Again, as I was saying, a lot of the difficulty in this instance, it seems, is targeting, and that kind of sucks. But I mean, I'm sure that they'll fix that. But basically, you want to make sure that you kind of have those under control and have your range killing them. As you can see, they're shooting down at us, and that makes it harder for a healer to get mana and everything like that. But you're going to have to fight 3 waves of these, and then you're going to have to fight the commander. And the commander is probably a very good fight, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I've wiped on it a couple of times with another group, and so it's pretty fun. After the first wave, you're also going to have to fight summoners, which makes things very, very interesting. This was actually like very difficult for me to tank, as I said before, for a couple of different reasons. Oh yeah, no, Dreadweavers on the second wave. I think the third wave is the summoners here, but you guys will see that in just a second. And these hatchlings here are just really, really causing me all kinds of problems because it's very hard to get control into them, and also also stop and interrupt the cast from the casters. This is just a pickup group that I found. I just kind of was looking for people without like pre-made characters pretty much on the beta, and I just pretty much put this together in, I don't know, half hour or so, and so it's not really it's not extremely coordinated. With an extremely coordinated group, this would be much less difficult. Like you could get behind one of these one of the sides of here and LOS the casters around, or do any number of things that would make it easier. But it's mainly these hatchlings that cause you problems because they keep you in combat. This time, because they were separated last time, the second group was, I decided to jump in there and kind of get everything grouped up. And as you can see here is also an engineer, and engineers are real kind of a problem because they cast that debilitating ray on me. And they're also summoners, so there's a lot of things to watch out for. And you want to make sure that you have everybody pretty much paying attention. As you can see here, this one thing that's good is that you do get like a raid warning whenever they're going to cast something, cast the summoning. As you can see, there's another one. And I think we actually get one summon off because our other warrior didn't interrupt it. I don't know why. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so you really don't want that to happen because they do summon in like full health ads. It's not like they summon in just like these weaker ads that you can kill, just like with AoE. No, I mean they're full health ads with like 300,000 health, which is in this dungeon a lot. And this dungeon is scaled for level 100s, and so that's why you see like the red levels, because we're all scaled up from level 92. And so if people are curious about that, that's pretty much what's going on. And the veterans also cast Thunder Armor on you, so you don't want to have that as little as possible. Whenever this guy comes in, it's going to function the same way as Ren did, and it's pretty much you're first going to fight his mount, and his mount does 2 different abilities. It does like the spit thing, and it's like a puddle of acid. And I didn't even really notice that too much, but the main thing that you want to watch out for is the Incinerating Breath. And that's just a cone ability. He faces at one target, and he breathes at them. And if he breathes on you, you take a lot more fire damage, so you get punished. There's the green pool. I guess it never really went on me as a tank, but as you can see there it is. Whenever the Sky Reaver is at about 30%, that's when the commander is going to jump off, and he's going to have his own set of abilities. There's the breath right there. And as you can see, our warrior has the debuff. And the breath is very easy to avoid, but you want to make sure your ranged aren't stacked up. The commander has a few different abilities. He has a Hateful Strike-ish mechanic, same as Patchwork, and he also has, as you can see, that Flying Axe. That functions the same way as the Ravagers do on General Nazgrim, but these axes are a lot easier to predict, and there's kind of a soft enrage on this boss where if you don't kill him fast enough, he will just summon more and more and more axes. At about 60% health, he also gains that Iron Rage debuff, and all that is just he just does more damage and attacks faster. It's not really a big deal, and I wouldn't really mention it except for it was in the Dungeon Journal, and so I might as well. The other things that he does is he charges to an opponent, or sorry, not an opponent, a player in your raid, and so you want to have everybody spread out in a way, in the same way that if you ever did challenge mode, Scarlet Halls on the first boss, the Houndmaster. You want to have everybody spread out, and so people aren't lined up, so he hits as few people as possible with his charge. But the charge does semi-minimal damage, and so it's not really that big of a deal. As you see that claw debuff, the same debuff, it looks the exact same as a Feral Druid's Rake debuff. That's the attack. What is that one? That's Iron Axe. Whenever he throws it at his target, and then that's the bleed that goes on, and so it does 2,000 damage every 1.5 seconds, and so that's 8,000 damage bleed, and so it's pretty deadly, and you pretty much want to use a lot of cooldowns. Now, there we had ad spawn. I do not think that this was supposed to happen. I think that these ad spawned because it was a group that we didn't kill. And so you want to make sure that you pretty much clear all the other trash, and so you don't have any unfortunate surprises. The good thing here was that he was so low in health, we were able to burn him down, and the ads ran away as soon as he died. But it was a really fun fight to do. I enjoy it a lot. If I was a healer, I would not enjoy it at all. But it's very healing intensive because of all the different random damage that attacks, or that he deals. So I got a little bit confused. He deals to your raid, and it's not really as predictable as you'd like it to be. Usually his secondary attack target is a melee, though, or at least that's what it seemed to me whenever I was doing it. This is another really interesting new kind of encounter, I guess you could say. These Drake Keepers, what they're going to do here is they're going to run to these Drake nests, and they're going to summon different ads. Pretty much what we tried to do is we tried to kill them, and by we, I mean me. Nobody else really did that, and so all of these ads spawned, and there's two different really types of ads. There's these baby ads, and there's adolescent ads. And as you can see, there's an adolescent one over there in the back, and those they're the black protodrakes. And they have a pretty good amount of health. What I would suggest for people to do, see how our warrior did that? He was actually telling me how that wasn't him that casted Intimidating Shout. And so, as you can see, mine isn't on cooldowns. That kind of narrows it down. Anyway, you really want to be careful with CC here, and especially Fears, because you can aggro these other guys here, these basically these ogres with really big sticks, and they hit you with those really big sticks, and it really hurts. They're very deadly. The ground shakers, and so as you can see here, you really do want to pay attention. But besides that pull, it's really not that big of a deal. And again, you pretty much want to be paying attention and try and kill one of the Drake Keepers. And as a warrior, what I did here to get aggro and everything after I saw it for the first time is I put down a Mocking Banner, and it was this pull was extremely easy to deal with, even with all of these ads going after me. We didn't really spend any time trying to stop the ads or anything like that. And as you can see, they pretty much die really easily. And after they release all of the what are they? All of the dragons, I guess you can say, or the whelps or whatever. After they release all of them, they'll just come and attack you with a melee attack. As you can see, the dragons will spit fire on people in range, but that's just really kind of easy stuff to avoid. This trash it's kind of hard to deal with, but I think that if you have a competent tank and healer, and also DPS too, it shouldn't really be much of an issue. This actually isn't a boss, but I'll explain the way that he works anyway. The loot has not been enabled in this dungeon yet, and so I don't really know what's going to happen in terms of loot. And so anyway, whenever he charges, there's a line of fire that he leaves behind him, and he also does a AoE knockback and a fear. And besides that, he really doesn't do much of anything. It's just those three spells. And so what you want to do is you want to position yourself up against a wall, and that's kind of what I figured out I was going to do. Towards the end of this, that's a knockback right there. And this boss is, he's more of a mini-boss, honestly. He wasn't even in the dungeon journal in terms of a boss. And so I wouldn't really worry about killing him. It's just kind of a fun little thing to do, especially if you did the original UBRS with the original beast, and this one is much smaller. And again, as I said before, you pretty much want to face him away, or not away. As you can see, that's how much the fire does. It does 12,000, 15,000 damage per second. And so it's not like if you stand in fire, you're going to die instantly or anything like that. But you don't want to stand in fire because, you're not terrible. And if you have him up against the wall here, one of the main things is that whenever he does a knockback, it won't do anything to you. And also, you can just reposition him while he's moving back from his charge. And that'll help your melee out a lot. As you can see, our melee is doing just fine, not in the fire, not anything. And so, again, there are a lot of things in this instance, I really like this, that are a lot about positioning. Positioning has never really played that big of a part in a lot of raids. And I think that it's really cool that it's starting to play a part even in 5-mans here. And so as you guys will see in this next boss that we're going to be doing, this next boss was a lot of fun. It was really awesome. And so I do have this other pull because I wanted to talk about these guys too. These were, again, just pretty much your run-of-the-mill, like the same as the Draconoids, the same as the Siege Breakers, the ogres with big sticks, and they also do like this thing where they just randomly smack the ground, and there are some mobs that do that, and I think like the Frostfire Ridge, if you've done the Horde quests, and ogres do the same thing here. You just want to make sure if you're melee that you move out of it, you're not standing in front of your tank, and they also, actually I think that's pretty much it, they gain a small damage buff, and so you want to make sure that you're pretty much ready to pop cooldowns there. But these guys are pretty easy to deal with. As you can see, they only hit for like 15,000. So I wouldn't worry too much about it at all. And they also do a fear, but again, it doesn't really make a difference. So this guy, I was going to take a drink. This guy is the biggest fucking badass. Like, this was so fun. Okay, so you're going across and you don't know what's going on. Then this guy fucking pops out of nowhere, closes the gate behind you, and starts killing your raid. And, alright, he's going to do a few different abilities. This is one ability here. He breathes on everybody, and basically what you want to do to avoid the breath is you don't want to be on one side or another of the group. You want to be towards the middle of this bridge, because he can either breathe to his left or to his right, and he goes towards the middle, and as soon as he gets to the middle, he stops breathing. It's kind of like Darumu, except for he just stops, and as soon as he gets to the middle, he just does like 1/2 of the area. And at a certain point, he'll start summoning ads, and these ads are pretty hard to deal with. They do a lot of damage, or they don't really do a lot of damage, but they're kind of annoying. And while he's summoning the ads and you're dealing with the ads, he's also throwing down fire on you. And what you want to do here is you want to do as much damage to his ads as possible and kill them as fast as possible, because he's just the, what's his name, Razor Wing, or whatever, like Fire Wing, or whatever. He's just going to be coming right back down. Like, I mean, there's just really no real room to stop here. And what was it? The Engulfing Fire is the ability that he does, where he kind of sets half of his, like, the room where you fight him on, I guess you could say, on fire. Firestorm is pretty much the thing that he does while he summons the ads. See, they just keep standing there. I don't know why they were doing that. God. Oh, I mean, just doesn't matter. Anyway, so the Magma Spit is the thing that you guys can see. It's right next to me right now. And the Firestorm, again, was whenever he went up and summoned the ads. And he actually does 2 ad phases. He does 2 ad phases and then he lands. That's a lot like Razor Scale in Ulduar, second boss in Ulduar. And as you can see, whenever he lands, he just does regular melee attacks, and there's the Firestorm there. And so it does do 50,000 damage, and so it is pretty deadly. Now this guy, I mean, he gains this buff now called Burning Rage, and it increases damage dealt by 40%, and we don't have anything that can dispel enrages. We don't have like a druid or, you know, anything like that, and so, or like a hunter. And so I was just like, oh fuck, you know, I mean, it was pretty brutal, especially towards the end. I mean, you'll see my health go up and down, like it was really down to the wire there. But as far as I know, this can be dispelled, and it only stacks up to 4 times. So, you know, he's only doing 160% extra damage, but he does do a lot of damage, and so you still want to be paying attention to that and making sure that you're not getting killed. He does do this Ripping Claw thing. As you can see, it's a debuff on me, and it just really does a small amount of damage, and then it's a bleed pretty much, and it stacks up pretty high. And so it's, again, kind of a DPS check. As a tank, you want to save all of your cooldowns for this end of the fight. You see, like, my cloak procced, you know, all kinds of stuff. So I mean, this was like the realest boss. Like, of all the bosses that we did in this fight, in this dungeon, Razor Wing or whatever, he was absolutely my favorite. I really enjoyed this fight a lot. The only thing that I didn't like about it is you had such limited movement speed or movement room. It was kind of an issue to deal with. In terms of like the trash here on the way to the last boss, it was really not that big of a deal either. There's one mob that was pretty deadly, and the rest of them were just pretty much, they didn't do much of anything. I think these guys here, they put like a flame strike on me, and so honestly I didn't even notice it. Like I didn't even notice like any of the real mechanics that any of these guys did, but I think if you were going to like pretty much focus down one mob, you would obviously want to focus down the casters, because that's just kind of what you do in situations like this in World of Warcraft. But as you can see, they don't really do anything. Oh, I think they do a grip. Yeah, they do a grip. And they also drop a Wind Fury Totem. I don't really know what the Wind Fury Totem does, because I just killed it as soon as it came out. And so I suggest you guys also never figure out what it does and just kill it instantly. But if I had to guess, it will probably give them second attacks, because there are a lot of things that if you don't switch off and kill something very quickly, I've learned this in like just general Warlords of Draenor content, it will basically cause you a lot of trouble, and it kind of rewards like high reaction time. You don't have to kill that pack over there. Now these guys are, you know what they reminded me a lot of? Is they reminded me a lot of the mobs in like pre-nerf Blood Furnace heroic in Burning Crusade, where they pretty much half health you out of nowhere. They do two different abilities. They cast a there it is. There's a Colossus Smash, basically Shattering Smash, Colossus Smash, and as you'll see towards the end here, they're actually going to almost kill me with this Colossus Smash, and they also cast a Shockwave, and so while they're casting a Shockwave, they do not move their direction, so it's again something that you just move out of. There it is. So I actually stunned them while they did it, but now they're both going to cast it here, and all you do is you move out of it. I don't know how much it does because I'm not an idiot and I don't stand in it. But as you guys will see here, whenever you have the Shattering Smash on you, especially from both of them, you'll just take a very huge amount of damage. Like I wasn't really prepared for it, honestly, and I would have used like more, I guess, like cooldowns or more active mitigation, but I wasn't even really. Yeah, see, look at that. Like, I mean, I just got fucking, like, I almost died right there. I mean, I guess I would have had my cloak, but it was pretty scary. I mean, I kited them away, but they are very kiteable, and so honestly, like, I could probably solo this if I was a hunter or something like that. Now we're getting to the last boss. Now this guy, this is why I'm really glad that I was a tank. Yeah, I was seeing if I could fall off there. Yo, let me tell you guys you can fall off, and I'll show you guys how in just a second here. Now the last boss is Warlord Zelia, and she is very hard to deal with as a tank. As a healer, nothing special really. As a DPS, nothing really special. She does a targeted Blade Storm towards someone, the same as Hop Talus does in, what's his name? Stormstout Brewery, and it's also the same as Og does in Lost City of Tol'vir from Cataclysm, if you guys remember that. And so anyway, she has like a rotation of abilities. She's going to do a knockback, and she's also going to do that targeted Blade Storm. She's going to chase after somebody and Blade Storm them. The Blade Storm actually does not do that much damage. As a tank, what you want to do is she can knock you off this platform. And as you guys can see here, this platform is not that big. So, I mean, this is just like the most realist shit ever. Like, I think I'm like a really good tank, okay? I got knocked off twice. Well, alright, the first time I didn't even know what was going to happen. But I did get knocked off. I got knocked off. And it's hard to do. And especially as a warrior, you can try and heroic leap back on. As you can see, there's the Blade Storm. What is it called? Black Iron Cyclone. And at 50%, she's going to summon 3 adds, and there's also going to be these dragons that are going to breathe on you. As far as I know, you can kill the dragons, but I don't think it's really effective in terms of damage. If you have a group that has trouble like avoiding things, you might want to try and do it, but it seemed very easy. And I'll explain the dragons whenever they come up. But again, she pretty much does one, then the other. What is it called? Destructive Smite or something like that. And then after she does that, the Destructive Smite is the knockback. And alright, so she had 50%, and they're the Worm Riders. Now these dragons, the way that they breathe onto the group is they divide it up into 9 sections, and they can pretty much, there can be two dragons breathing at the same time, but usually they don't overlap for very long. You just pretty much want to be paying attention. There's not really a lot of, I don't know, a lot of real ways that you can have this like go wrong. The Worm Riders also, this wasn't in the Dungeon Journal, but they also cast a grip. Now this is the hard part here. Again, is pretty much dealing with her at the same time as dealing with the knockbacks, especially whenever the drakes breathe in the middle of the room, because then you don't want to stand in the fire. Fire does kind of a lot of damage, even if you're a tank, and so it is kind of an issue. Also, whenever you fight her for a long period of time, sometimes she doesn't do her natural order of knockback, then whirlwind. Sometimes she'll do 2 knockbacks and then not do a whirlwind. And so as soon as you get a chance to, as soon as the knockback is over, the first thing you want to do is reposition her in a way to where another knockback won't kill you. And again, it's basically just avoiding these drakes. At this point, the fight's pretty much over here. You just have to survive and kill her. It's pretty much the exact same as Phase 1, except for you have these drakes breathing on you. And as I said before, as far as I know, yeah, I said play it safe, because we had wiped on this thing. We wiped like 4 times. And a couple of them were dumb mistakes, but we did have a couple of wipes. I mean, this is a difficult fight. As you can see, I got a little close there. And so, again, as soon as she finishes that cyclone thing, I'm getting right behind her, and I'm getting ready to, oh, I got breathe on there. But as soon as I pretty much get right in position to get ready to be knocked back again. And she is very small, too, like in terms of like her model size, and so it's very important that you don't have her kind of like run to the side of you and then knock you to the side because of her small character size. But this is a very very interesting fight as a tank. Like the rest of the other classes, it's not really that big of a deal. It's all about positioning, and you want to position yourself not really in the middle, but towards one side, so you can kind of move back and forth, and also not get hit by the Drake fire. But if you do, it's really not the end of the world. You can always just pop a cooldown, and her knockback does more damage than other things, but that's pretty much it. It's more or less a tank and spank plus the knockback plus the adds, and you want to use all your cooldowns on the adds whenever they come up, because she will come down at a fixed interval after the adds, and so you want to just kill those adds as fast as possible, because they, as I said before, they do grip people into her, and that can kind of grip them through the Drake fire, and it can be, you know, a lot of problems. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this. I had a lot of fun doing this instance. It was very interesting. It took me total like an hour and a half to finish it all up, and if this is actually the first Warlords of Draenor dungeon that I've done so far, and so I'm very impressed. This was great. I had a lot of fun doing it, and hopefully you guys will pretty much learn how to do it from this video, and at some point have a good time doing it also. So anyway, holy shit, 30. How long was this? 37 minutes. Oh my god, we did it. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.